Good morning, everyone. Now I've seen this news where a strong earthquake have rocked the city, the country of Thailand, and they felt it all the way in Bangkok and China. And trust me, they have done a lot of damage. I'm asking you guys to pray for the people of you know of those countries. A lot of people under rubble. They can't find them. People have been crying, screaming. It's terrible. It's terrible. So I'm going to read what happens. A powerful earthquake rocked Myanmar and the neighboring Thailand on Friday, destroying buildings, a bridge, and a dam. At least 144 people were unalive in the Myanmar, where photos and video from two hard-hit cities showed extensive damages. At least 8 unalive in the capital, where a high-rise under construction collapsed. They're working on a building and it collapsed. It's a skyscraper. Trust me, it's big and it's tall. And it's not only that. This is the first part of news. And later on in the news, let's see where they say 100, 1,000 and how much 100 people, get unalive. Trust me, it was dangerous. The 7.7 magnitude quake with an epicenter near Mandalay, Myanmar, is the second largest city, struck at midday and was followed by a strong 6.4 magnitude aftershock. The 6.4 one enough to do damage. Plus, so much, man, oh my god. The full extent of death, injury, and destruction was not immediately clear, particularly in Myanmar, one of the world's poorest countries. It is embroiled in a civil war and information is tightly controlled. The head of Myanmar's military government said in the television speech on Friday evening that at least 144 people unalive and 730 others were injured. It is more now. The death toll and injuries are expected to rise, Senior General Min Aung said. Photos from the capital showed multiple buildings used to house civil servants destroyed by the quake and the rescue crews pulling victims from the rubble. Myanmar's government said blood was in high demand in the hardest hit areas. Images of buckled and cracked roads in Mandalay uh, and damaged highways, as well as the collapse of a bridge and dam, raised further concerns about how rescue workers would even reach some areas in a country already enduring a widespread humanitarian crisis. Near Bangkok, popular chat got whatever market, a 33-story building under construction with a crane on top crumbled into the cloud of dust, and onlookers could be seen screaming and running in a video posted on social media. The sound of sirens echoed throughout central Bangkok, and vehicles filled the streets, leaving some of the city's already congested streets gridlocked. They evaluated rapid transit system and subway shut down. While the area where the quake struck is prone to earthquakes, they are unusual, not so big. They are usually not so big, and it's rare for them to be felt in Thai capital, which sits on a river delta and is at moderate risk of quakes. April, who works in an office building in Bangkok, initially didn't even realize it was an earthquake. The first she'd ever experienced. I just thought I was dizzy, she said. She and her colleagues ran downstairs from the 10th floor of their building and waited outside for a signal that it was safe for them to go back in. Crane's top building collapsed in a cloud of dust. In Bangkok, at least 3 people were unalive in the building collapse and 90 were missing, according to Defense Minister. He offered no more details about the ongoing rescue efforts, but first responders said that even said that 7 people had been rescued so far from the area. At least two of the unalive were construction workers who were unalive by falling rubble or debris. Res- Rescue workers somewhat told reporters the building was being built by the China Railway Construction Corporation for Thailand's government auditor general. Elsewhere, people in Bangkok evacuated from their buildings were cautioned to stay outside in case there were more aftershocks. The U.S. Geological Survey and Germany Center for Geosciences said the earthquake to preliminary reports, shallower earthquakes tend to cause more damage. Screaming and panic has buildings swayed. Bangkok City Hall declared the city a disaster area to facilitate the response. The greater, the greater, mani- the, great, the greater Sorry about that, some distractions. The greater metropolitan area is home to more than 17 million people, many of whom lived in high rise apartments. All of a sudden, the whole buildings began to move. Immediately, there was screaming and a lot of panic, said Fraser Morton, a tourist from Scotland who was in one of Bangkok's many malls. I just started walking calmly at first, but then the building started really moving. Yeah, a lot of screaming, a lot of panic, people running the wrong way down the escalators. Like Morton, thousands of people poured into Ben Jasri Park from nearby shopping malls, high rises, and apartment buildings along Bangkok's busy road. Many were on phones trying to reach loved ones as others sought shade for, from the hot early afternoon sun. For runners a lawyer working in central Bangkok, said her first indication that something was wrong came when she saw a light swinging back and forth. Then she heard the building creaking as it moved back and forth. She and her colleagues ran down 12 flights of stairs. In my lifetime, there was no earthquake like this in Bangkok, she said. Paul Vincent, a tourist visiting from England, was at a street side bar when the quake struck. As he came into the street himself, he said he saw a high rising building swaying and water falling from the rooftop. There was people crying in the street, and the panic was horrendous. Really, he said. Bridge and monastery collapsed and dam burst in Myanmar. In Mandalay, the earthquake reportedly brought down multiple buildings, including the Me So Yang Monastery, one of the largest in the city, and damaged the former royal palace. Meanwhile, Christian Aid said its partners and colleagues on the ground reported that a dam burst in the city, causing water levels to rise in the lowland areas in the area. A video posted online showed robed monks in the streets shouting. Video of the monastery, before it suddenly fall into the ground. It was an it was original. It was not immediately clear whether anyone was harmed. In the region just southeast of the city, a 90-year-old bridge collapsed and some sections of the highway connecting Mandalay and Myanmar's largest city, Yangon, were also damaged. The military seized power from the elected government of Ang in February 21 and is now involved in a bloody civil war with long-established militias and nearly formed pro-democracy ones. Government forces have lost control of such a Myanmar, and many places are incredibly dangerous to access or simply out of reach for aid groups. More than 3 million people have been displaced by the fighting, and nearly 20 million are in need, according to the United Nations. The Red Cross said downed power lines added to challenges for their teams trying to reach several hard hit areas. The disaster will have left people devastated, in need of drinking water, food, and shelter, said Julie Michigan, head of Asia, Middle East, and Europe for Christian Aid. Myanmar is one of the least developed countries in the world. Even before this heartbreaking earthquake, we know conflict and displacement has left countless people in real need. Myanmar's government declared a state of emergency in 6 regions and states, including the capital, Nepal, whatever, and Mandalay. It was not clear what the declarations meant, since the entire country has been on a state of emergency since 2021. Residents in Yogan rushed out of their homes when the quake struck in the capital. The quake damaged some homes and religious shrines, sending parts of toppling to the ground. Injuries reported in China. To the northeast, the earthquake was felt in Yunnan and Shuasikan provinces in China, and causes damages to houses and injuries in the city of Ruli on the border with Myanmar, according to Chinese media reports. Videos that one outlet said it had received from a person of Myanmar showed building and debris littering the streets and persons being wheeled in a stretcher toward ambulance. The shaking in a city about 100 kilometers, 60 miles northeast of where was so strong that people couldn't stand. One resident told the paper and said it was so hard that people couldn't stand up. It was terrible, man, very, very terrible. We pray for those people. Pray for God to provide for them, and pray for them to find people who's alive. You know, pray for them to rescue people. And oh God, a lot of people have trapped on the buildings, and they don't know how to get them out. They can't reach some of them because of down power line. They can't reach some of them because no bridge. All sort of, God, I pray for those people and help us pray people. So please like, share, and subscribe. Thank you.
Death toll in Myanmar has soared to more than 1,000. Officials there fear that number could continue to rise. International aid and search and rescue crews have begun arriving in Myanmar, but it may be days before we understand the full extent of the devastation. Panic and confusion on the streets of Mandalay, where a group of Buddhist monks watched in horror as an apartment building teetered and then collapsed. This was a scene continuously repeated at the epicentre of Friday's 7.7 magnitude quake that struck just before 1 p.m. local time, levelling parts of Myanmar's second largest city and beyond. The impoverished country has been engulfed in civil war since the military junta seized power in a coup 4 years ago. Leader of the ruling junta, Min Aung, visited a makeshift hospital in the capital Naypyidaw, making a rare appeal for international aid and assistance. And already countries are responding. Search and rescue teams from China have arrived, and Russian teams are en route. Pallets of humanitarian aid and medical supplies have already been flown in from India. President Trump said the US will assist, although there are serious concerns the USAID and State Department programs in the country have been gutted or shut down. In neighbouring Thailand, distraught family and friends gathered outside the site of where a 30-storey skyscraper collapsed in Bangkok when the earthquake hit. This woman's 18-year-old daughter was working on site and hasn't been seen since. I prayed that my daughter was among those taken to the hospital already, she says. That's all we can hope for right now. Hopes and prayers that so far are going unanswered. At the collapsed construction site in Bangkok, there are thought to be dozens of workers buried under the rubble. Rescue teams there are going to be working through the night to try and find any survivors. The death toll in Myanmar
rippled across parts of Southeast Asia and into southern China after a massive 7.7 magnitude earthquake and aftershocks first hit central Myanmar. And that collapsed this 30-story skyscraper in Thailand's capital of Bangkok. Construction workers and people passing by ran for their lives. And this building, reportedly a government office, was still under construction. Police said that dozens of workers were trapped. Now, its implosion was also captured from further away on a highway. When the quake hit, people stopped their cars for safety and then captured that collapse. This earthquake's epicenter was actually about 600 miles away in Myanmar's Mandalay region. Buildings there fell on their sides, roads cracked open, and the country's well-known Ava Bridge, which spans the Irrawaddy River, also collapsed. A major hospital in Myanmar's capital of Naypyidaw, just north of Yangon, is now being described as a mass casualty area. The U.S. Geological Survey said that the quake was at a depth of just only 6 miles, and that is also how and why this quake was so strong and so dangerous. Terror rippled.
Oh, yeah. Good. Oh, yeah.
Nurses at a maternity center in China's Yunnan province rushed to protect newborn babies as tremors from Myanmar's deadly earthquake shook the region, Chinese state media says. Beijing's foreign ministry says no Chinese citizens were killed in the powerful 7.7 earthquake. But the U.S. Geological Survey estimates the earthquake's death toll could surpass 10,000. A team from China has since been deployed to Myanmar to help with search and rescue efforts, state media announced.
Wildfire 21st of March, and trust me, they're doing a lot of damages and causing a lot of casualties. So you will see what's going on there, and people lost homes, and oh God, it's sad. It's sad. So please pray for the people of China, the people of Thailand, Myanmar, and just pray them up. Thank you.
Korea is battling one of the worst wildfires ever in its history. It all began on 21st of March in the country's southeast, and it's been raging for days. The flames have spread across multiple cities and counties, leaving behind casualties, burning people's houses, and even threatening national treasures. So why is the fire spreading so quickly? Well, the weather is playing a major role. Unseasonably warm weather, strong gusts of wind, and dry conditions are fueling the flames. There's another factor too, pine trees. This region has one of the largest pine forests in the country, and they're especially vulnerable to wildfires. Authorities say the fire likely started accidentally by human activity. As fire crews are working around the clock, they're now hoping for one thing to help: rain. South Korea is battling one of